Hey there, welcome back to our Rev Games Academy. In our previous video, we discussed about adding footstep sounds to characters. In today's topic, we're going to explore how to integrate voiceovers into your Unity game projects step by step. This is a crucial part of enhancing player immersion, and it's easier than you might think. Let's start with preparing your voiceover assets. The first thing you need is a high-quality recording. To achieve that, it's important to use a professional microphone and, of course, record in a soundproof environment to avoid any background noise. Once your recordings are ready, you'll want to clean them up using software like Audacity or Adobe Audition. This is where you'll remove any background noise, normalize the levels, and maybe even add some effects if needed. Once everything sounds perfect, export your files in a format Unity supports, like WAV or MP3. Now that we have our voiceover files, let's bring them into Unity. Simply drag them into the Assets folder, and it's a good idea to organize them into subfolders like Audio or Voiceover to keep things tidy. When importing, make sure the settings are correct. For example, you might want to set the compression format to Vorbis to save space without compromising quality. Also, adjust the sample rate so you can strike the perfect balance between quality and performance. Next, we'll configure the audio sources and listeners. For every sound you want to play in Unity, you'll need to attach an audio source component to the game object that's going to produce that sound. For 3D sounds, you can use the spatial blend to make the sound behave as if it's coming from a specific location in the game world. The audio listener is just as important. It's usually attached to the main camera, and it acts as the receiver of the sound. Remember, there should only be one audio listener in the scene at any given time to avoid conflicts, so make sure to check that. Now, let's get into triggering your voiceovers. You can set up voiceovers to play when specific events happen in the game, like when the player character enters a trigger zone. For instance, when the player walks into a particular area, the game will trigger a voiceover to play. You can easily set this up with a simple script. Create a script named voiceover trigger and double-click to open it. First, set up a public reference variable for the audio source and give it a name such as voiceover. You can then use the onTrigger enter to detect when the player enters the area. You can add an if condition to check if the voiceover is not playing. Then use voiceover.play to play the sound. Once the script is completed, drag and drop the voiceover trigger script from the Assets window into the voiceover trigger zone game object. After completing the setup, assign the player's audio source component to the reference variable. Ensure that your rigid body component is added to the trigger zone game object with the isKinematic checkbox enabled. Kinematic is a rigid body property that removes an object from the physics simulation. Also ensure that your box collider component is added with the isTrigger checkbox enabled. If you want to know more about rigid body colliders and their properties, please refer to our physics and particle systems tutorials. Now, in the player game object, make sure the audio source component has the play on awake and loop checkbox disabled. Now test the entire setup by moving the player into the trigger zone, and the voiceover will be playing.
Since the dawn of time we have soared through the skies, guardians of the realms and keepers of the secrets buried deep within the earth. Our wings have cut through the winds long before the first humans spoke. We were born of fire, of magic, and of destiny. I have lived through ages, watched kingdoms rise and fall, felt...
And that's it. By following these steps, you can easily integrate voiceovers into your Unity projects. In the next video, we will be moving into more advanced topics such as controlling volume and mute functionality. If you found this guide helpful, please give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing for more Unity tutorials. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.